Hey guys, welcome to Bible study here this week at JSAW. We've been going through this series on who is God, like what are the attributes of who God is. And this week we're talking about how God is love. So we're in 1 John chapter 4, and we're going to go verses 7 all the way down through 21. It starts out by talking about, it says, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love." Man, when I was younger, growing up, this verse kind of caught me by attention. I kind of grew up in somewhat of a rough family, rough background. And I was looking for a lot of love and attention. And so when I discovered that God is love, that drew my attention. And I wanted to know God more. You see, the love that we experience in everyday life oftentimes is tainted by maybe wrong motives, or it's lust, but we think it's love, or it's just like a fleeting thing, that's just here 1 minute and then the next minute it's gone. A lot of times that happens, like with girls that you're dating or whatever as you're growing up. You meet a girl and you're like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful, I love her, and it's crazy, and then like 2 weeks later it's like it never even happened. Right? So when I started reading through this and understanding that God is love and that true love comes from God, I was just blown away. This passage goes on to explain how God showed his love among us, and that is that he sent his son into the world that we might live through him. You see, all of us have sinned. We've all fallen short of God's glory. And so we've all been separated from God because of our sin. But because God so loves us, he sent his son Jesus to die on the cross to pay the penalty for our sin, which is death. And so when Jesus died, he covered over our sins. He paid for our sins. He died in our place. And that is love. It says, God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that just if you're kind to somebody that everybody has God in them, right? But what it's saying is that God is love. It says, "This is how love is made complete among us, so that we will have confidence on the day of judgment. In this world, we are like Jesus." So, if we're going to experience the fullness of love, we need to be like Jesus. We need to follow God. And the reason that we can do that is because, verse 19, it says, "We love because he first loved us." So because Jesus poured out his love on our lives, now we have the ability to love others greatly and deeply. So whoever claims to love God yet hates his brother or sister is a liar. For whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen, they cannot love God whom they have not seen. So anyone who loves God must also love their brother and sister. So the point is this, okay? One of the attributes of God, one of the biggest attributes of God in my brain, is that God is love, that God is loving, that he loves us, he loves you, he loves me. He is a loving God. He's not a hateful, angry God. He's a loving God. And if we want to experience true love, we need to first accept Jesus Christ into our lives, believe in him and trust him for our salvation. That sets us back into a right relationship with God. And then we have the capacity and the ability to share that love with other people, to fully love our friends and our family, right? and to love even our enemies because we've experienced the true love of God. So I want to challenge you this week, first to experience God's love in your own life through Jesus, to receive that forgiveness of your sin, and then to extend that love to other people that are around you. And I'll see you next week.